I want to make a quick video to show an interesting problem that that you know that we already know exists with the settlement and the numbers, but I find when the problems occur as being incredibly interesting. So, a little bit of preface here. Before, like, as I was gathering settlements, no settlement had any extra people. Except, there was only one settlement that had any settlers, and that was Sanctuary, and that was basically the Concord 5 plus Dogmeat, which made 6. And then I think the next thing I did is I turned on the beacon to bring settlers into the settlement, and perhaps settlers coming right off the bat, Workshop Framework brought those in. In this particular instance, well, until right now, which I haven't showed you, I haven't shown you the actual problem itself. But again, it has to do with beds and all that. Not the same thing, but it's interesting. It's interesting. But before that, I had no problems with zero amount of anything. There was no zero amounts of any kind of workshops. There's just no zero amounts. So as long as I had one settlement that had settlers, I could acquire ever how many more workshops I wanted. And as long as there were no settlers in those other workshops, Sanctuary was fine. But the minute that I acquired settlers through, I would imagine, the normal game, and that's just a guess. It could have been, I don't know, I have no idea what made the settlers arrive. There was no beacon, so I'm assuming it was done via a base in-game script. The settlement was Crew Manor. And basically, the people at, I think it was Oberlin Station, said, hey, clear out Crew Manor. It'll make a good place for settlers. You basically clear out Crew Manor, and then all of a sudden, these guys show up. There was no beacon. They just show up. So you completed the quest. You haven't turned in the quest yet, but once you clear the workshop, they show up. So there's a base game script adding settlers. So that's the third settlement that has settlers in it. Now, the first settlement, which was Sanctuary, that's the in-game scripting. That's actually the scripting of the people actually moving in, and then the script assigns them as settlers. The second one was I activated the beacon, so I cannot tell you at that point, which I do have Workshop Framework automatically set up to add settlers. Once I guess the beacon is turned on, it immediately adds, I think, 1 to 3 settlers, and 3 settlers showed up. Now I don't know if Workshop picked that up or if that's a base game script. So I don't know if up to 3 settlers will start out. Workshop picks up 1, and then the base game adds 2, or how that was. Whether it was a combination of both of those, Workshop Framework or base game scripts, or it was just one or the other. But what I want to show you here is interesting because I find the combination of data very, very interesting. And here's the game. So once I had noticed just now running to, I was actually going to check out Weston. I could not get another crash with Weston. So I was in there trying Pip-Boy out left and right, could not get a crash. So I don't know if that's a DLL that's hooking into a base game function. So it's providing, it's pumping data into a base game function, so then the base game function is crashing, but it's the data being sent to it. That I have no idea. That would be something I couldn't even guess. But take a look at this. Check this out. So I am in Oberlin Station. So all of a sudden now that I have, now that all of a sudden I have Sanctuary, and I've got, let me see, I've got Sunshine Tidings, and then I have Crew Manor. Now is the first time that I noticed, because during this playthrough, I would always go through and check to see, if the water and everything looked good, because that was part of what this test was to do, to see if more settlements have settlers, if that is when the problem starts. So now I have 3 settlements that have settlers, and you can see all the different settlements that I have here. But notice that the beds, the power, the water, and the food are all highlighted. There are 2 settlers in Oberlin. There's only 2. I haven't added any more. There is no beacon here. There is no settlement beacon. There's a small water pump, so there's the 3. There's a small generator. That's your 3. There's 2 people. All the food is the same. I haven't added or moved any food. It's the food. So the food is 7. So those numbers are correct. The defense turrets are correct. But the fields, the variables that are being replicated, when the bed count is being replicated, whatever numbers are hidden, whatever numbers it's trying to look at to see if the numbers are bad, it thinks those numbers are off. Somehow it thinks those numbers are wrong. Now, those beds are actually inside the tower. They're the 2 beds inside the tower, so they should be covered. We're going to take a look at that in a minute, and we'll come back to this. And then I'm going to try that that save and reload. So the beds are in here, so they should be covered. Maybe not, I could be wrong. So let's go in and let's try it. Maybe that's the problem with the beds. But the food stuff, I don't know. That's confusing me. But if for some reason, see the bed count is 2. If for some reason that is flagging itself as an invalid bed count. So that's interesting. I wonder, I'm going to take a look at another variable here and see. Just give me a second. Let's see. Okay, let's see what this does, if anything. Okay, so that actually adds a roof. I'm assuming there's clipping on it. Let's see, let's take a look. Okay. Okay, now take a look. Because, well, I mean, that's fine, because I wanted a workshop. We knew that was going to happen. What I need to do is go back and see if that reload will fix that. Let me see. Let me go back here. Do I have something I loaded prior to that? Let me take a look at this. I kind of hate doing this because it's going to make this video longer than it needs to be. But let's see. Is it still janked? Of course, that was, I didn't save it, so I didn't save it. So that would actually be a save and a reload in this area. And let's see what it shows. Okay, so once again, the save reload fixed it. So the save reload fixed that, because I had saved that prior to checking all that, because you can see that is, that's what I clicked on to build that. So it is counting those beds as under a roof. So the save reload does work here. But the thing I found interesting was with Oberlin Station was the beds, the power, the water, and the food. Those same 4 variables, which all have the bed count, all was showing a problem, even though the numbers were absolutely correct. And because these numbers haven't changed, it's still 2 beds, 3 power, 3 water, 7 food, and 2 people. So whatever it's comparing, whatever it's trying to compare in the background, it thought that those shadow numbers were incorrect. Let me make sure this is not a ghoul. Oh, it's a pheasant. So those shadow numbers were incorrect, although you can't see them. So these are the Pip-Boy, these were the Pip-Boy numbers, and those were the shadow numbers. So that's another symptom of whatever this problem is. And the save reload does fix that. So just to kind of summarize, I think the more settlers you have, the more settlements you have with settlers, the more this problem is going to surface. That would be my initial guess. So I'm gonna cut this incredibly short, and I'm gonna hop off and maybe do some more play testing here and just kind of play with it and see what we get. Okay? All right.